Brand new deck, new chance on say. If I could make a difference in this world, then I'm it. So I'm out, so
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Ain't That Right? I'm your host, the Duncan Dad. We are on SR1029thegame.com. Check us out on all of the socials across the Metaverse, X, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. You still want to call it Twitter? You can call it Twitter. How you been? Haven't seen you guys, girls, everyone in a while. Shout out to the East Coast, the West Coast, the North, the South, the Great Midwest, the Plains of America, and all you tuning in from around the world, wherever you may be. Lots happened since we last spoke. We had a Masters tournament. Rory completes the Grand Slam. All right, we had the end of the Final Four. Florida. And shout out to Florida, the state of Florida right now. Just returned from a little respite. Short, could have been longer, but, that's universally accepted by a lot of people for a lot of things, if you know what I mean. Right now, there's an active shooter being reported on the campus of Florida State University, Tallahassee. Prayers go out to all involved. Obviously, we don't want to see this in our world, as, of course, the school year is coming to the end, but also any day in the world, we don't want to see this. People have the opportunity to express themselves in a myriad of ways in today's day and age. We're doing it right now. We're giving our little opinion here about life, sports, and everything in between. Sometimes individuals go to extremes. Not talking about Billy Joel here. And it really makes you question, in these circumstances, not only was something like this premeditated, but was this something that could have been prevented? Could there be other actions and steps that may have possibly been in place or taken that could have averted this? Now, I've always lived in a world where the idea of crime, or the idea of a crime of opportunity, or the crime of a revenge or an assault or an emotional reaction, it's hard to control and contain them all the time. You can never be 100% perfect in a utopian state. Why? That's just the nature of how things go. That's one of the weird dynamics of human nature that we still have the ability to possess. Every time you think someone's going to go left, they go right. Every time someone should go right, they go left. That's probably the only instance where all of the hypotheticals and all of the probabilities and all of the advent of AI technology will still miss out on the human element. And that being said, human element is a tricky, fickle beast. I've been known to be calm, cool, and collective, and the next minute, not so much. Everyone has their trigger words that people likes to say. Everybody has their little buttons that get pressed, that if you press the button enough time, you're going to get a response, right? The old theory, I think, was generally like poke the bear. Once you poke the bear enough times, the bear's going to bite back, regardless of what you do or say or set up, or the environment in which you find them. And most notably, that's when we really come to the definitions and the terms of this was a tragedy and this was awful. And it is, because these are situations and circumstances and settings that you shouldn't have this go on. It shouldn't happen. You're there for an education. You're there to go ahead and expose yourself to different people, places, things, cultures, backgrounds, lifestyles, and learn, grow, come together, build community. And unfortunately, there's another incident where you have... Oh, just went down for a second. How about that? My Windows security turned on my virus protection. You're never going to have enough of that. So we blipped a second. Anyway, you never know when this is going to come up and when it's going to rear its ugly head. Just pray for all the victims, support for everyone who's going through a trial and tribulation in their own mind, in their own world, in their own existence, in their own being. There are resources out there, resources in your community, resources that you can find by using any search engine in the world. Sometimes you, the friend, the person, the individual listening right now, you're the resource. You're the one that is being reached out to. And I find it hard, even in my own world sometimes, to avoid phone calls or avoid text messages or avoid replying as close to instantly as I can. Obviously, you can read the context of the messages or the voicemail, and to some sort of degree, what's going on and what's happening. But it is a burden sometimes to carry that when this person normally doesn't reach out. What's going on? Or, hey, I've kind of been hearing rumblings and grumblings. I'm that person. You're that person. And we all are those individuals. And we need to know sometimes that there are things that we can't handle. There are things that are above our pay grade. There are things that require actual clinical diagnoses, treatment. And if you don't want to do a medical sort of diagnosis treatment, there's other approaches that you can go about as well. Why are we all concerned about this? And obviously we're concerned about everyone there in Tallahassee right now going through things. But how do we make it sports, Duncan? How do we make it life sports and everything between? A lot of times because we get this hubris about ourselves. And we have this false sense of entitlement. And for many of us, it's based on particular situations where you seem to find yourself at that moment or what you anticipate to be in that moment. I'm just regular over here, but man, that situation, I'm the bee's knees. I'm the cream of the crop. What I say goes. And what happens is that we tend to let those particular instances dictate our lives and our expectations and the way that we actually do things. And unfortunately, it's the other 85-90% of the time that it's actually the sustainability part, right? You have a function to perform in a particular environment for X amount of time. It's a finite amount of time. It's usually quantitative, right? Quarters, seconds, periods, years, innings, whatever it is. But it's what's built around that. That's what actually keeps you in that position and then also maintains you in a decent state. You could have all the success in the world, but if you're blowing your money and you're pissing it away on lavish lifestyle and you're not being prudent and frugal in certain instances, you find yourself looking up like, man, where did all this go? Where did the fame go? Where did the adulations go? Where did the money go? Where did the resources go? Right? So that temperance, that balance, that discipline, the priority principles, all things that are super duper essential to maintaining this over here. That's not saying that this bright part that you have going on isn't going to sustain you or give you the tools to sustain you. Just being aware of it. And many of us aren't aware of it because we allow ourselves to disassociate, compartmentalize, and move between all of these instances real quick. I'm super proficient in this area. I'm really great. I'm top of the class. And over here, I'm just regular. So I'm not really going to give too much. I don't really care. I'm going to get kind of lazy. And then when I get back here, I'm going to go all out. There's individuals now, and we've seen this in a shift in athletics specifically, where the paradigm and the pendulum has kind of switched back to the players having more of authority, more dictatorship, so to say, in how they structure contracts, how they structure deals, what they're willing to demand, where they feel as if they stand in relations to the overall product, which is fine, right? Everything is cyclical. Everything, bounces back and forth. I've always said, it just depends on how far you let things go on either side. That seems to be the, not the issue, but that's the concern, right? The concern is when you allow things to go either way and you try to correct, which it always corrects itself. How drastic does it correct itself? In some instances, it needs to be a drastic correction. Hey, you can't use illegal drugs. You can't drink anymore. You can't smoke anymore. You can't have the same diet. Has to be immediately corrected in some instance. Why? Because the detrimental behaviors, the detrimental conditions that come from this, you're going to live or you're going to die. right? Other instances, you don't need to correct as much, right? Tim McGraw, a few more salads, a couple less steaks, a little more walking, a lot less just sitting on the couch with the potato, watching what it is that you're putting in your body, watching what you're doing, balancing, every component. What we think sometimes of, like, what we take in is basically this physical action, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, what I'm smoking, what I'm breathing, whatever it is. But the biggest component is what you're taking in with your eyes and your mind, and how you're thinking about it, and how you're processing it, and how you're using that as sort of the little road map or the little road signs on your journey, right? It's like, hey, you can go go a little more. It's okay. Go in, go be extra. It's fine. And there's that line that you get to where if you don't have the backside taken care of, after you've gone that little extra, it's going to be so much more difficult to recover. Like, how many people do we know in this world that live way outside of their means? I mean, I've done it. I mean, there's been selective moments where people have definitely lived above their means. This doesn't mean you have to be, a penny pincher. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy things. It just means that you have to be willing to put yourselves in a situation where you are going to be okay with the recovery portion of it. And what happens a lot of times is that now, where everything is so instantaneous, where we don't have that pause, the burp that I always talk about, you do something, say something, engage in something, and you're like, oh crap. Oh, wait a minute. How do I get back from that? How do I back this off? And backing it off and coming back to this point of maybe a recalibration is 100% offset by where you find yourself on this platitude, latitude, longitude, whatever you want to call it. The more you can offer, the more you can give, the more resources that you have, 10 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, it's a little more accepting, a little more easy. That's okay. She did X, Y, and Z. He did X, Y, and Z. But on Sunday, man, that girl, that guy, they put butts in the seat. People buy tickets. The merch is flying off the shelf, and we're going to do it again. Okay. The problem with that is, for the individual in that moment, it's fantastic. Like, it's really, really great. But Major League Baseball has been around since the 1800s. The NFL has been around collectively, right? 60s, whatever, with the modern era. Same thing with hockey. Same thing with basketball, whatever. Those things are generational. They'll have their ups and their downs, but they will be consistent. The one thing that always changes is the name on the back of the jersey, right? Not the name on the front of the jersey, not the name of the organization. Granted, there's, contraction, all that kind of stuff, and teams go away and stuff isn't profitable. We get that. But the bigger picture is that right now you have this flash in the pan. Oh, this guy's going to be great. He's going to dictate what he should do, what he can play, where he wants to play, who he wants to be drafted by, what kind of business people he wants to be associated with, blah, 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 blah. People sit down, run through the metric, and say, okay, yeah, it works. Metrics work out in this regard, and we'll go ahead and we'll allocate X amount of dollars, X amount of time, X amount of resources. What doesn't matter is that in that very finite 5 to 7 year window, regardless of the Murphy button, boom, boom, the generational talents, the real generational talents and the real generational marketability of an individual, because that is once in a, lifetime, twice in a lifetime. It's usually, every 15 years you get this guy or this girl. Every 20 years, this person comes along and you look back and there it is. There's the guy. There's the girl. There's the product. But for the most part, like us, like other individuals, even though they're the hot commodity in this particular instance, you've all been there. You've all been the hot commodity in your relationships. You've all been the hot commodity at your job. You've all been the hot commodity at school at some point in your life, right? The OJ peak in high school, right? High school, grade school, middle school, junior college, high school, whatever it is. There's been one point where you've been the focal point of whatever social group or whatnot that you've been, even if it's minuscule in the amount of quantifiable time, everyone's had that moment. And it's like, okay, well, after that moment, what are you going to do with it? Before that moment, what have you done with it to get there? Right? Recognizing, acknowledging that moment, having everything in place and being able to actually actuate and to have some sustainability after the fact when all that's taken away and you're just like, I'm still okay. I'm still maintaining this lifestyle that I got myself accustomed to. So I need to do this over here. You might not like it. You want to put yourself in a position where you do like it. But those things come and those things go. Right? What was it? Frost. It was like, time goes on. Life goes on. Like those things will constantly perpetuate. Names will change. Players will change. Objects, fads, whatever the hip in thing that happens to hit at this particular moment. They'll be there. How do you fit into it? Where are you at on that scale? And the scale, like the metaphysical scale, man, we all know, we all have different roles to play, right? At what point did you feel really good in what you're doing? You're content in what you're doing. You're happy sustaining. It gives you joy on both sides. Boom. You've made this here. Did I push too much? Did I not push enough? Did I overcompensate? Was I too filled with the better than now? Did I pick and choose when to do it? Was it appropriate? Wasn't it appropriate? Maybe I should have stopped and thought, but I didn't. Look what it cost. Look what it did get me because I pushed. Like having those balances, having those opportunities to actually figure it out. That's why there's this huge, huge push in today's day and age to have these moments of meditation, retreats, go and touch grass. Because you need an actual physical process to slow yourself down. You didn't need that 15 years ago. You didn't need that 20 years ago. You didn't need to slow yourself down. There was an automatic pause. The news cycle came, and then it ended. Seasons came, and then they ended. Stores were open, they closed, they opened again. Seasons were more prominent. Holidays were more defined. People's interpersonal relationships were more defined because it was really, really predicated on the actual movement of the 2 or 3 people or 4 people, whomever was involved. It took effort to reach out to someone. It took effort to speak to someone. It took effort to sit there and say, hey, you know what? They're going through a lot of crap, or they're super duper excited about something. How do I do X, Y, and Z? What's the most constructive, peaceful, invigorating, exciting way to have these communications? Where's the compassion? Where's the empathy? Where's the sympathy? Oh, something bad happened. Oh, condolences. Sorry. Tick, tick, tick. Oh, that's horrible. Let me know if you need something. You're never going to be. Because why? We're so used to having these automated responses for these situations that when we're actually tasked with understanding what happened or investing in what happened, to be honest with you, people, it freaks you out. Why? Because you don't know how to do it for yourself. I'm guilty of it. Sure I am. I'm trying to learn to do it every day. Try to figure out, okay, how do you want to be better? Am I really better? Can I get better? Do I want to be better? What will people tolerate? What they won't tolerate? How can I reach out? Can I reach out? Do I want to reach out? If I reach out. Because right, the worst thing in the world is like you get to this point, you're like, I need to tell somebody something. No matter what it is. And when it doesn't meet your internal expectation or your internal implied, oh, this should be the reply or the response, it sets people back a little bit. Right? It's like that project that you did. It's like, oh, look, I put all this time, all this effort in this project. And you look at it, and if you're looking at it from a third party, like, that's good job. You get the E for effort and you complete it. And then you see someone else's project and it's like, oh my God, it's amazing. And it's like, but you're just looking for a little bit of acknowledgement, looking for a little bit of affirmation, looking for a little bit, great job, awesome. And you just get the, hey, way to go, champ. You don't want to open up anymore. You don't want to talk anymore. You don't want to say things anymore. Or you find particular areas where you're like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything about this. I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to compromise on this. Is what it is. Blah, blah, blah. And then someone says, McDonald's French fries are better than Burger King French fries. And your whole life, you just love Burger King French fries for whatever reason, which is wrong. I'm not saying, I'm sorry. If you like them, it's okay. And you die on this hill. And like you literally live and die on this hill. I have a fun instance where people like particular things. It's their thing. Let them embrace it. Let them cherish it. If they want to share it with you, try to cherish it. Try to share it with you, because people don't need to give you that opportunity. All the times that I've done it and haven't been there, thank you. All the times I was the other way, I'm sorry. Like, those are the things that, we need to be able to say to ourselves and say to other people and really settle with in our own head, because it takes a lot for individuals to do that, because people have a different understanding of it. And I said this before when we talked about baseball and we talked about the love of sport and the love of the game. Your particular love of anything is going to be completely different than someone else's. No matter how much there's a shared commonality or passion, it will be completely different. Completely different. You can see this in parents. You could have two parents completely love the kids or love their pets. People will love them in their own perfect way or their imperfect way, but it's completely unique and authentic to them. Why? Because we're all completely unique and authentic. That's why the communication is essential. That's why having the conversations is essential. That's why being able to listen is essential. Not only hear, but listen. Doing a little bit of work on yourself. Well, how do you do work on yourself, Dunk? I'm so busy, blah, blah. Sometimes just take 15 minutes and just think. Just think. Like, put yourself in the other person's shoes. That's the simplest way to do it. Or put yourself in the shoes of everybody else looking. This isn't to be overly self-critical of yourself, because everyone's allowed to have their own individuality and their own way about going about and finding their own happiness and living in their happiness. But it is taking that moment, taking that pause, touching grass, having your 10 minutes of meditation, sitting and staring into space. We used to do that a lot. Lost in our own thoughts. It was good to get lost in your own thoughts. We just don't have an opportunity to do that nowadays. And when you don't have that opportunity to be lost or to have your momentary pause, you find yourself pressed to either constantly show that you are overly engaged, overly qualified, over the top. Everything is running great. You can handle everything. Do the song and the dance. Juggle as many balls as you possibly can. And hoping that something doesn't make you spiral off the edge over here. And when you do spiral off the edge, hoping to goodness that you've made enough investments around you, and I'm starting with yourself, that you can adequately recover to a particular point that you could continue to go forward after all the fallout and the damage control. Right? And it's simple. Like, it's simple damage control. It's simple fallout. Things that you don't necessarily want to have happen. And just by either happenstance or coincidence or a knee-jerk reaction, you find yourself in those predicaments. And that's why having those practices in place are fine. It's like, man, you get upset that a particular event or whatever didn't happen. Or you get upset the way that someone reacts. Or you get overly excited. Whatever it is. And maybe in your excitement, you share something that was completely private. And now it's like, man, I just ruined this person's trust because they told me something in private and I got super excited and I had to share, da 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 da. It's like, how do I recover from that? It could have come from a good place. Or you do the opposite. You're angry, upset, you're frustrated, stuff is building, and you explode on something, or you cut something off, or you go into, ultra introvert mode, fine, and you completely isolate. And it's like, okay, well then, like, how do I then like put myself back out into these situations? Because maybe I'm embarrassed, maybe I'm hurt, maybe I feel, sad, maybe I feel upset, maybe I still feel angry, maybe I still feel all of these emotions that we're blessed to have. But now, hey, are we still good? Is stuff all on the same page? Why? Because it's hard to make friends. It's hard to have relationships. It's hard to, be in a situation where someone or some people or some organization will just accept all of these qualities, especially when you may or may not have something that either you perceive to be of value and or the greater entity doesn't perceive to be of value. Man, I can't stay in the relationship because for 5 years, blah 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 has been going on, and they're a liar, a cheater, a thief. Throw anything up against the wall, and it's like the benefit has now been offset by all of the detrimental things. And even though all this over here is really really good, we can no longer retain your employment. Blah 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 blah. Why? Because it's healthier, for everything involved. Having that moment, being a little humble and humility, not the opposite, saying and being genuinely sorry for things, being genuinely excited for things. So many times people just placate individuals. My gosh. Right? We're guilty of it in our jobs, in our careers. We're guilty of it, in the people that we're with. Oh yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's okay. Oh, no problem. Yeah, sure. You're great. Oh yeah, no worries. Oh, awesome. And then comes time, to pay the piper, or someone calls you on it and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm completely sorry. But when it was communicated to you, these people were opening up. They were sharing with you. They were expecting to have something resonate with you. And you dropped the ball. Why? Because our relationships, our interactions, no matter how big or how small, they're work. It's work in a good way. You should want to hang out with your friends. You should want to hang out with your partner. You should want to, be someone who is a positive influence. Sometimes there's going to be gossip. Sometimes there's going to be drama. Sometimes there's going to be things that come up that you just don't, worry about or care about, or that you want to concern yourself with, which is fine. Some things that will upset you. Some things that will upset like other people. But if you're good with it, you're comfortable with it, you know where you stand, then hey, guess what? All good in the hood, man. All good in the hood. Why? Because you have to live with yourself. No one else has to live with yourself. Now, you have partners. I understand that. I get that. This is not what I'm saying. Again, Murphy buttons all over the place, right? This is, you have to be, first and foremost, willing to live with all these things and all these decisions, right? That's why people love the line from Top Gun, you're writing checks that your body can't cash. And it's like, well, maybe he thought he's good. Now, his performance against the expectations of what was prescribed, okay, there's a metric for that. But in his own mind, no, I'm good with this. I'm good with this. I'm fine with it. And if you're fine with things and you're good with things, then you can live with it and you can sleep well and you can go about your day and you are living your own peaceful existence. Then no one else is there to judge. Are you being positive? I hope so. Are you not doing things that are detrimental to your own health and other people's health? I hope so. Are you being a productive member of the society in general to whatever capacity you feel as if that's necessary? I hope so. If you're doing the opposite, well then, hey, guess what? Maybe that's misplaced. Maybe you should really reevaluate some of these things. But the only way that you're actually going to find that out, myself guilty as charged, is to stop disconnect literally and figuratively for a whatever prescribed period of time. Do a little eval. Correct what you feel as if you need to correct. And usually when it starts getting like difficult when you're thinking about it, or you're like, oh yeah, I don't know, you start justifying things and excuses, and not justifying things based off of actual substantial facts and circumstances, but just like, man, I really can't, I'm not super active and I need to get back to the gym. And you're like, well, dude, you have a gym membership? I don't know. It's so busy all the time. And you're like, I just sat around for like 2 hours and like binge Netflix. I just want to get there and done that. And I can't really, I don't know. I'm going to run to Wawa or Dunkin' to go pick up something. So you can motivate yourself for that, but not for the other stuff. So maybe it's about something else. Now, again, if you have principles and you're standing on them and you're saying, I'm not going to do something unless I get to do both, right? We have players saying these things now. Okay. Find a place that will give you that opportunity. And if you happen to be successful in that, congratulations and good for you. But if you're not successful in that endeavor and you need to change things, are you going to be willing to adapt? Or are you going to continue to be pig-headed? This is not a critique, because it's anything, right? It's anybody, any practice, any medium you want to put that across. Are you going to keep that, insanity definition, right? The same thing over and over, expecting the same result, and it's okay. It's just a change of scenery. It's just a change of pace, just a change of environment, it's just a change of income. It's just eventually it's like, nah, you know what? Maybe it doesn't work for you. Could work for a bunch of other people, just doesn't work for you. But I really, really like that, right? And we find ourselves now with social media seeing all of this inspiration all the time. All of the dopamine drops, all of the sensationalism, all of the, oh my God, oh wow, I've never seen this many good looking guys and girls in my entire life. From the time I was like 0 years old through 35. Never knew that many people existed that were wealthy, had cars, had never. And then 30 minutes on your social media, you see all of this stuff. And it triggers in your brain like, wow, this is nice. This is attractive. I should try to be like this. I want to live like that. I want to go there. Which great aspirations, great dreams, great goals to work towards. However, understanding the reality of how that comes to be, what sacrifices, what discipline, which priority practices, what compromises maybe were made, those are like the big pills to swallow, right? Those are the things where you actually have to sit there and think about yourself. Man, could I do that? Can I justify that? Do I understand that? Is that something I'm willing to live? Is it something I'm willing to move on with? Is it something that I can do? Will I get up and grind at 5 a.m. every morning until 12 o'clock at night and never see any result, or, build something? Where's the passion? Where's the love? And we fluctuate so quickly because there is a constant change in this metric. There's this constant change in what we're seeing. I would just say, go back to our early conversations, right? Like, find what your priorities are and really be honest with your priorities, right? We would all, in particular instance, like to have X, Y, and Z, A, B, C. Good home, good family, good relationship, this, that, and the other thing. But sometimes to try to have all of those things at the same time without building them just leads to a bit of chaos, because you don't know how to maintain it, because you've never learned how to really maintain yourself. You never learned how to be patient, have self-control, be prudent, be resourceful, budget, time management, huge time management. prioritizing the pillars in your life before you prioritize the fun, which is not saying you can't have fun, but when that fun cycle ends and the recovery begins and the day-to-day starts over, where are you finding yourself? How are you maintaining yourself? What are the practices that you're doing in order to be as you were, to get back to where you want to be? A lot of people can jump in and out of those worlds because they've set themselves up. A lot of these people that you will see in many of these instances are extremely prioritized, extremely disciplined, extremely, I'm not going to say cut and dry, but they cross every T, they dot every I. This is not saying they don't relax, they don't have fun, they don't enjoy, they don't benefit from the fruits of their labor. They do. That's why they do it. However, the notion that you just wake up like this or it will just spontaneously happen, I'm not saying it's far-fetched because, again, Murphy button, right? But the odds are not in your favor in that regard without you actually committing, without you actually engaging, without you actually disciplining yourself and your practices and being okay with everyone around you and who you have surrounded with you. There's nothing worse than going into a venture, no matter what it is, and not having people who are neither, one, on the same page, two, there's lack of communication, three, there's not a common goal that everyone is striving to. It doesn't mean you can't get to that common goal by using the specific tools and skill sets that you have, because that's exactly what you do when you build a decent team, and hopefully the same way the relationship. But when you don't have that clear, defined vision, the vision could be wrong. I'm not going to again, not going to quantify that, right? Murphy button again. But you will find that the task and the actual results, the metric analytical results that you can look at and say, yep, this is working, this isn't working, they won't be there if I'm trying to make spaghetti over here and you're baking a cake over there and we're trying to put a Mexican dish on the table. That's not going to work. Shout out to Mexican food. It was rated the #1 food in the world for satisfaction and dopamine drop. Can confirm, because I wasn't feeling it the other day. Went to this place in Kissimmee, El Tempanara. I'll get the name right. I'll put it up on the page. Phenomenal. It was run by this, I'm assuming it was a Mexican family. Been there forever, 5-star reviews. Shout out to the lady for finding the spot. Amazing. Tons of food too. You got to check it out. Bang for your buck, absolutely, especially in the touristy areas. Really, 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 really phenomenal food. I can't stop raving about. The only one that really rivals it is I've had mole sauce from 2 places. I've talked about the one in Evansville out there above Loyola in Chicago, just off the Northwest campus. And right around the corner, there's a place in Jersey, La Speranza. Shout out to La Speranza. You guys want a promo? Love hooking up the mole sauce and the guacamole. Be great. But there's a clear plan, right? There's a menu. There's priority practices. There's a way that they go about things. There's an order. There's a structure. Everyone's on the same page. This is your talent. That's their talent. That's what we're going to do. Sometimes you have to switch it up a little bit. That's okay. That's okay. But if you don't have that and you're not doing that with yourself, you're not communicating openly with yourself. Man, like I said before, I'd love to play ball. It'd be great. But guess what? I'm about 6 inches too short. Don't really have the skill set, anything above a CYO player. So guess what? Probably not going to be my wheelhouse. Was there a time? Oh yeah, sure. There was a time when I could, run up and down all day. Not the place. You going to continue to live in that world? Or are you going to evolve? Are you going to say, you know what? I may be better suited to do this. And that's okay. Realizing our limits and our ceilings sometimes, it's not saying you can't work to go beyond that. But when you just completely ignore the talents and the resources and the skill set that you do have and that you do possess and what you're good at, I'm not saying you're shooting yourself in the foot or, cutting your nose off to spite your face, but you are doing yourself a disservice. Why? Because you're preventing yourself from at least getting to a solid starting point. That's just like, you should come and want to be at a solid starting point. Why? Because if all the other things fall down, at least you have this to sustain yourself and to be there. Right? There's a reason why, and this is a very non-political statement, there's a reason why there's general education requirements. Reading, writing, arithmetic, some basic cognitive skills. There should be a home ec class that's still taught. Really should. Big component, big champion for that. It used to be a funny book, right? Like How to Boil Water. Think about that. People can't use can openers. This isn't a crap on everybody. It's a notice of like, hey, there's just some basic things. Not that you should know, because there's skills. Everybody knows skills. You're exposed to what you're exposed to. It's not what I'm faulting. What I'm saying is like, there are basic things that you should know and be confident and true about yourself, that regardless of where you find one's person, who you find yourself or your person with, you should be aware that in this particular instance, there's a really good probability I'm going to react this way. I'm going to be comfortable here. I may be uncomfortable over here. Why am I uncomfortable? Well, this is why. What have I done to change that? Well, this is what I've done. Do I want to change it? I really don't want to. Okay, am I fine with that? All right, that may close doors. That may open doors. Like, this is a constant give and take symphony of life. And it starts right here between your head. No matter what skill set, what talents, what natural abilities you are given. Right? Shout out to Calogero and Chas Palminteri. The greatest thing in life is wasted talent. A lot of times you don't even know you have the talent. Or you have the talent and you don't want to unlock it. Right? Don Henley, Glenn Fry, right? We live our lives in change, but never know we have the key. Right? Like all of these quippets that come up in cinema and music and entertainment and life, and the old adages from, the older generations that pass this along. A lot of it is get out of your way by just being you. Get out of your way by accepting this. Get out of your way. And it's not accepting that I can't change. It's accepting of like, okay, if I have a Toyota Camry and I have a Ferrari, I'm not going to outrace the Ferrari. But maybe in longevity, at a decent pace, I'll win. Or I'll be ahead, or I'll maintain. Like, you have to know what's there. And you can improve some of these things. And you can take away some of the bad things. That's the wonderful component that we all have. That's the wonderful opportunity we all have in our life. But unless you identify that, unless you really, really identify that, you're going to constantly be working behind the 8 ball. And again, there will become a point where what you offer, what talent, what skills, they'll offset and they'll be like, that's great that you've got this, but now we need more. Hey, we need a little less of this. And you just have to trust in yourself. You got to trust in the people you surround yourself with. You have to be afraid to not be afraid. Right? It makes sense, right? Like you have to just go down some of these roads sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt. Sometimes it's going to take work. Sometimes it's going to take you away from maybe the things that you enjoy. Well, I shouldn't go away from the things that I enjoy. No, but if you're enjoying it superficially, if you're enjoying it just to cross T's and dot I's, are you really, really enjoying it? And if you're fine with that and you're content with that, then listen, more power to you. But if someone else is going to work on it, someone else is going to go forward with it, someone else is going to change, then you really can't argue what happens or what doesn't happen. Right? Be open, have the conversation, talk, evolve, don't evolve, be in your happy place, be content. Find out what's going on that actually keeps you in a position of contentment, happiness, growth, a valuable asset to yourself and everybody around you. Like, being a valuable asset doesn't mean you have to offer them something other than you're genuinely who you are and you're authentic to who you are. And they love and appreciate you for that. And they're willing to help you be the best version of you, vice versa. You have that, man. You have hit a home run in this world. And don't be afraid to hear no or change lanes when you have to change lanes. Right? We'd all like to run perfect all the time. Sometimes that's not the case. It's not a testament against you. It's not a judgment against you. It's just that this particular moment, in this particular instance, it's not how it works. Well, then, if you want to do that, then you need to go create your own lane. Right? You need to then go ahead and show and prove that you can be more or less. But there are some foundational standards that exist. And as long as you're operating within these standards, and we haven't let this pendulum go too far on either side, because you can't exist within the extremes. You can exist very, very finitely for brief moments. Right? That's why it's not like, perpetual shining moment. Right? That's not the song. It's the one shining moment. The one moment in time. Why? Because there's going to be instances in your life. You'll probably have 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 20 of these moments that the best of you or the worst of you is highlighted. After these highlight moments, people, place, things, relationships, jobs, careers, whatever it is, and you come back to this settled point, what's going on at that settled point is really, really what matters. It does. It just really, really matters. So, establishing the priority principles, your priority practices, being comfortable with who you are, being happy, being content, not justifying all the crazy stuff, not living with, doing nothing, because no movement sucks. Taking time out of the constant, I'll say rat race, but the constant need to move forward, to check all the socials, to be involved, to answer your friends, to be there, taking a moment for yourself to figure out, all right, am I cool? Is good? Do I need to change anything? Everything is all right? All right, good. Okay, now I can move forward. Or maybe I need to change this. Maybe a little less this, a little more that. Maybe I should follow up with this person. Maybe I should reply to that text. Maybe next time when they text, I need to pump the brakes a second. Maybe when I do engage anything, that I'm actually genuine with what it is that I'm saying and doing. Not just going through the motions. Will you go through the motions? Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Let's not be naive. However, when going through the motions becomes the priority practice, you have an issue. Talked about it last week. How many people just mail it in, right? Yeah, mailing it in. Yeah, went out, did my job, mailed it in. Right? Sometimes you're going to mail it in. It's okay. But somewhere in that mailing it in, somewhere in what it is that you're doing, please find yourself. Find your meaning. Oh, it's just a means to an end. Okay, cool. Means to an end. That is what it is. But then for everyone else who's doing it, who doesn't just see it as a means to an end, right, doesn't give you the authority to dump and be and see all over it. Because maybe that's not how they see it. Right? That's the part of the humility and the respecting, everyone else's position and place. And the way that they go about it, and the way they interpret it, and the way that they see it. Ipso facto, when you're then part of a team part of a group, part of a relationship, you have to be a little more willing to have the talks, be on the same page, be understanding, like, hey, we would like you to do this. However, right now we see you're best suited to do that. Okay. Is it a judgment in some way? I guess so. Or maybe it's just a recognition of the skills and talents that we want to expand upon or highlight. Or maybe it's like, you really need to work on this, this, and this. Not saying your other stuff isn't rock star, because it is. However, maybe you should do a little work over here. And we're still willing to go down this endeavor with you. Right? Okay, like sometimes being critiqued isn't a bad thing. Right? Because people didn't want to critique you, then they would be done. They wouldn't care about it. They'd be like, hey, guess what? Good shot. Good try. High five. See you later. Best of luck in your endeavors. Still need to do this. And that's a personal thing. That's all on you. That's being able to go through things, live with life, make these good positive decisions, be willing to change, be willing to grow, and leaving yourself in a position that when all of this pendulum swing extreme finishes, your day-to-day is something you're enjoying, something you're happy with, something you're being productive with, something that you're contributing, not only to yourself, but to everyone that you involve yourself with. And you're representing your true, authentic self. Right? You're never going to be the 3 o'clock friend, 2 o'clock friend to everybody, but you are to one person. You're never going to be the best partner to all your relationships, but the one person you will. Trying to find those matches and have it understood and accepted between all the parties, that's the trick. That's the trick. That's why it's a constant evolution every single day. So as great as you are in this particular moment for this particular amount of time, and you're fawned over, when that sheen wears off and some stars burn brighter and longer, they're not just all stars, it's about Smash Mouth, but being settled with it, that's really, really where you want to be, where you want to go. You're the authenticity, the reliability, your sustainability. Like, exactly what you're getting from this particular person. Less all the fanfare, less all of the extremes. That's really what keeps things going in any instance. A guy's gonna be a hothead sometimes, but man, he's super, super proficient than anybody or anything that does X, Y, and Z. When they get really, down on themselves, it's really awful as well. Yeah, but still, the upside is way, way, way better. Why? Because you're going to have a lot of ups. You're going to have a lot of downs. If you're doing pretty good in the middle and holding it together during the middle, odds are you're going to have a lot of success no matter what it is that you do. Speaking of success, we have people coming up next week. We will have shows on Tuesday. We will have a show on Thursday, and Thursday's show will be a little bit of a surprise, perhaps. No, we'll tease it on Tuesday. There's truly, we will be covering the NFL draft in the great state of Wisconsin. Yes, I did that because why? I just felt like I wanted to throw a little homage to Matt Barr, Loyola grad, friend of mine. Remember the first time I met him? He's from Milwaukee, and at the time I was in Chicago. Had a little bit of a Chicago thing going on because I just come from Philly big time. And I was like, man, you guys really do sound exactly how, Saturday Night Live and everybody was chiding everyone, which is fine. You laugh at yourselves. It's great. So it makes everybody happy, everybody wonderful, and everything amazing. It's okay. Have a good time with it. It's really cool. That's the awesome dynamic of people, places, and things. And I'd say that because I'd do anything for the guy would do anything for me. I would do anything for a decent person. Hopefully anybody decent person would do something for me. So we need to kind of get back to. So all those little quirks, all those little colloquialisms, all those little imperfections, they're awesome. They're really, really, really fun because that's authentically who we are. Right? And quote the great Jimmy Buffett. Like, if you can't laugh, we'll all go insane. So please tune in next week. We'll start to preview the NFL draft. I know Eagles have the last pick in the first round because they won the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was Super Bowl. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, and we will be on our way. All right, everyone, thank you for joining today on the program. It was nice talking to you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful Passover and Easter if you celebrate. I know the Easter Bunny will be making an appearance somewhere around here. Personal favorite as we end. 2, actually. Those little like dark chocolate eggs with that little crunchy hard shell on the outside. Like, everybody makes them. I think Cadbury makes them the best. I'm not the cream eggs. Not a cream egg fan. And obviously the Reese's peanut butter eggs. I mean, can't go wrong with them. Not a big fan of Peeps. So all you Peep lovers, you can hit me in the comments, but not a Peep fan. Anyway, all right, guys, have a great afternoon. Please enjoy the remainder of your day.